a whole bunch of vintage stuff here, and some fairly modern stuff, and then I've got two super seniors, and I have a couple of SDRs that I use for receive when I use the super seniors, and kind of in a transceive operation, and a bunch of different antennas. But the two elements on 40 work the best. At least right now they do. I've got two Marconi T's up there, and I was kind of switching around on those as well to see. Surprisingly, the low one was better than the high one. So I was tuning that one up for 40. It's normally resonant on 160, but it's weird. The vertical polarization with the Marconi T's during the daytime doesn't work well at all. At nighttime, it's a much different story. And sorry about the call here. So let's see. I'll just send it back to you. Yeah, the audio chain also just is a Symmetrix 528E and a little Inovonics compressor limiter, and a fairly decent studio mic. So I usually get pretty good audio reports, but I got to be very careful with when I use the Ranger. I use the same audio chain, and occasionally I'll have to run a little more audio with the Ranger, so I have to kind of tune it back down with the mod monitor. Anyway, Steve, back to you. Back she goes. K1GMM N3CXP. Over.
Yeah, drag the PTT in case somebody else wants to jump in. But that's funny. You mentioned that 10 meters. I just put together a new computer, and all good on the audio. I figured you're running something like that. It's Symmetrix. Those things are killer, aren't they? You mentioned you were on 10 meters. I was just listening on 10 meters for about the past 2 hours. And I kept wanting to jump in, make some contacts, but the QSB, like you said, it was kind of in and out. It wasn't horrific, but yeah, it was there. And I never thought, why don't I think of this? So the AM window for 10 meters, where is that, Tom? Because I've never looked. Go ahead.
Well, it begins right at 29.000 megahertz, and I think it's generally 29 up to 29.1. Steve, at least that's what I looked up, because like you, I haven't been up there doing it. So, ironically, though, you get down a little bit, and there's some bootleg CB stations and so on that try to get on AM, and they stand out like a sore thumb, but they generally can't operate at 29 megahertz and above. They seem to, whatever they're running, and they'll sneak in between at maybe 28.8, 28.850, but they don't seem to creep into the AM window, which is kind of a good thing. A lot of Europeans, a lot of English and Germans on 10 meter AM right now. Over.
No kidding. So you said you made a few contacts. So I'm assuming those were across the pond, right?
Yeah, mornings and afternoons. There's a lot of Europeans, but as you noted, this morning in particular, there was a lot of QSB. So and I was getting tired of waiting for QSOs to end, and 10 meters, it's more or less single QSOs, and so I said I'll just come down here to 40 and see what's cooking down here. But yeah, it's kind of fun. Boy, 10 is open most days now, and it's just neat to it's wide open and usually very low noise levels. Over.
Yeah. I got to spend some more time. It's funny. I don't know if this has happened to you, but back in the day, we're talking, I don't know, a few months ago. And we did remember that massive opening we had, what was it, like a year and a half ago on 15, 17. I can't remember really about 12 and 10, but boy, those bands, I was on 17 and 15 every day, and they were roaring in there. Remember that? I lose track of time. But and I kind of gravitate around 20. So once things I kind of moved away from the morning routine of 75 and 40. I'd shoot up to 20 and I'd sit there and park it. And I'd kind of poke around, see if I could hear people that I haven't worked before and try and work them. And now it's like I just go straight to 10, to be honest with you. I've been doing that for, I don't know, a while now. I don't know, maybe 9 o'clock, 9 a.m., 10 a.m. I'll move right off of this band and head straight to 10. I just skip everything else there, over.
Yeah, well, of course, we've got so much bandwidth up there too. It makes it interesting. You can, I'm trying to. I've been on the logbook here on QRZ and forever here, and I'm getting all kinds of error messages here. I was just trying to get us in the log. I don't think we have worked before. I actually also was looking for the AO7 satellite beacon up there, which is, 29.3 or something. So, I haven't been on 10 in years. I used to be an avid satellite operator, and I saw a YouTube video on AO7, and I've heard it occasionally, but I didn't realize it's going to be in sun for the next couple of years and very seldom get into darkness. And I don't know if you're very familiar with AO7 or not, or have ever worked satellite, but that thing's been in orbit since 1974, and one of its NiCad batteries failed open instead of a direct short, enabling the solar panels to command the thing. And the guy who invented it had sort of an automatic system built in, such that it would switch on its own through the various systems without control from the ground. So the thing came back to life, and I think when the heck was it? 2016 or something. And it's now active on mode B, which is 145 megahertz down and 70 centimeters up, as well as mode A, which is 10 meters down and 2 meters up. But that's thus the now listening for satellites up there on 10 meters as well. So I said I've got to get back on and see if I can work it. So sorry to digress, but we were talking about 10 meters, and I thought, well, gee, that's kind of an interesting tidbit to listen for the beacon up there on 10 meters when it's operational. Over.
Boy, you opened a can of worms right there. I used to be hardcore into linear satellite operation. I don't know if I should. Now we're on. I don't mind. We can talk about anything. I don't care. But I had a great time. I've worked 2 or 3 European stations on the AO7, and that is quite a feat from here, dude. Because I live on the valley floor. I am flanked by 3,000 and 4,000 foot peaks, and the valley floor is about a quarter mile wide. It's all NVIS, east side and west side. It's a horrible, horrible location. But there's one window I can pick up the AO7 coming across, and just get it low enough. I got about a 2-minute window, if that, to work, to actually hear guys from Europe, Western Europe mostly, and be able to get in there and try and work them. And I was successful in doing that. And I, when I got really into it, of course, I started on FM birds, and I moved into linear, and I designed, I'm not going to take credit for it, but I've never seen anybody do it. I designed a antenna, which a guy ended up building it down in Kentucky. His name's Jared. And he built, gave him the plans. He built one, and he got, all grids, North American or United States, worked all grids on that antenna. It's a very compact, it's a real killer. It uses a 7-element direct feed, UHF Yagi, nested inside of a 3-element 2-meter quad. And I built a azimuth, elevation, and pitch rotational system so that you can actually flip the pitch using a toggle switch back and forth so you never lose the bird as it goes through apogee. Had so much. It's still up on the southeast corner. Haven't used it in, oh gosh, I don't know, 3 or 4 years maybe. It's still there and it still works. So now you got me thinking maybe I should light everything up again. N3CXP K1GMM.
Well, very good, Steve. How interesting that we both got into satellite work and really enjoyed it. I've been away from it for a while too, but like you, I've got the station still operational. If you look on my QRZ page, it's ground mounted, and we're in a valley as well down here. So to the south, I've got an 8-degree horizon. To the northeast, believe it or not, I can see almost down to the horizon. But to the west and so on, it's not quite as good. So, but particularly from southeast to southwest, I've got an 8-degree or 9-degree obstruction. But the other problem I have is I didn't want to look at these things, so they're quite far from the house, even though I run 3/4-inch hardline to everything. And of course, I've got mass-mounted preamps and such, but I lose half my power. But still, it's pretty good. And with the mass-mounted preamps, I don't lose too much on receive. But when I used to have them on the roof of the house, it was pretty good. And I used to have a second station at one of the local schools up in Schnecksville, Pennsylvania, which was high up on a hill. And boy, did we have horizon-to-horizon contacts back in the days of AO13 and AO40 for a short period of time. So I got involved in about 85 with satellites. I was just licensed as a ham, and when Owen Garriott got to take that little Motorola HT on board, I was fascinated, and I listened. I didn't have anything to transmit on, but I heard him, and I said that did it. So I was big into it, and in fact, I was part of the SAREX program for about the first 10 years or so, and made many scheduled school contacts here in the area, and really enjoyed that part of it. So, and then got back into vintage stuff, with the linear birds and the FM birds don't do anything for me. I've got to tell you, I just, and even the FM repeater up on the ISS and just making contacts through it, it lost the charm. It used to be really great when I had frequency pairs that nobody else did, and got to know these guys, and got to work the mirror constantly, and it was great. And but AO7 as well again, and it's a good old SSB and a big transponder, and you can actually have a QSO like this at least for quite a few minutes. And I am going to try to be active. I've got a Modes dish yet, but there's just nothing to listen to, and I've got the 16-element Telex 2-meter circularly polarized antenna, as well as the 70-centimeter one, which I think is 30 elements, of course, only 15 active. And then I too built one similar to what you did. I've got a nested linear beam, which works quite well because the real narrow beam width of the Aggies, if you're off pointing, you're not hearing much. So anyway, sorry to ramble, Steve, but it sounds like there was some common interest there. K1GMM, N3CXP.
Yeah, K1GMM, you got me laughing because, or smiling at least. You mentioned it didn't take me long. I don't know how guys work FM birds, to be honest with you. The only way I can describe that is it's everybody for himself, and it is literally balls to the wall. It's like a contest environment. You know what I mean? It's just like working a contest. and I didn't last long in there. I worked FM for maybe not even a year, maybe a matter of 9 months, and I started exploring, the linear birds, and I love that. Because the AO7, like I said, that was hit and miss. That was a tough one. It had to be in the right spot coming across for me to even hear that or hit it. And the two contacts I made, it was actually not visible. That's how narrow, how sharp it was to try and get into that. So the other ones, I can't for the life of me remember what they are now. At this point, there were two, I think, that came over right overhead, and I would get in there in the morning more often than not, and I'd just connect with some guys and have a nice yacker for a couple minutes at a time, and it was cool. I liked it, and that's the part that really was nice. I enjoyed that a lot, but it became one of those situations where it was the same guys on every day, and it kind of wore out. I guess it ran its course there, Tom. K1GMM.
Yeah, exactly, Steve. The same exact kind of thing. You were probably talking about the Chinese birds. Some of them there's only one of them, I think, that's still operational. But if you get a chance on YouTube, there's a video on AO7. It's the story of, not today, it was just a day or two ago, was the 40th anniversary of AO7. And so there's a fascinating YouTube video on this thing and how smart this guy that designed all the subsystems was, and how simple it was, and how foolproof it was. It's truly amazing. I draw the analogy to the older elevators. I was in the construction management business, and a lot of the old elevators ran on controllers that used mechanical relays and such, and they got away from all the electronics, and those things, nothing goes wrong with them. You just pull out and the relays don't even go bad. Now, of course, there weren't mechanical relays on this. Maybe there are. I don't know, but it was an amazing piece of equipment. And I forget if you just Google AO7 on YouTube when you're laying in bed before you fall asleep or something, there's about a half-hour video on the construction of it, and I was fascinated by it. It was very, very well done, and it came out a day or two ago. And I guess it was Dick Jansen who was like the project manager who helped assemble this video, and it goes through the beginning of satellites, through the assembly of AO7, and the fact that it still works. But anyway, and I wanted to mention, if you get over on my QRZ page and you scroll down, there's some neat photos of I was lucky enough to know a lot of the guys in AMSAT. Lou McFadden, who was like the chief, still is, engineer for ARIS, and Sarah Graham was building AO40 down in Orlando, and I got to get down and put a lab coat on and turn a couple screws in and so on. I also got to know a lot of these guys, and I recently went down to the 40th anniversary at KSC. They had a week-long conference down there, and I was there for a couple of days. I actually did a presentation and spoke for, 10 minutes or so, and met a bunch of the guys that I worked. One in particular, I had actually got to meet twice years and years ago. But I actually spent the better part of a day and an afternoon with Bill MacArthur and Richard Garriott. And we actually shared about 5 beers together, looking at a SpaceX launch with our wives, and sitting on the deck, and had a lot in common with Bill MacArthur, who basically assembled the ISS. And he and his wife are lovely people. He was a West Point guy, and they have grandkids that are looking at the University of Pennsylvania and a few other schools. So we hit it off, and we talked about a lot of things, but not just space related. But they were avid hams. They really enjoyed doing the school contacts and such. So it was ham radio has been very, very good to me. Over.
Yeah, it sounds like it has. And by the way, I'm live streaming this. I just had my gut told me get everything going so you can pull the trigger in case you get something really interesting. So this is the community that I'm part of online. With the streaming stuff, a lot of these guys, you don't get a lot of this stuff. There's not a lot to look at compared to sideband stuff. So I try to push this stuff for the subscribers and viewers and stuff, blah blah blah, whatever. But yeah, it'll be on my YouTube channel, the K1GMM YouTube channel. It's actually live right now, but it'll render later on to high def. I went to your QRZ page. Nice room, dude. Nice shack. Boy, I wish I had it's a decent sized room, but my shack is compacted down into what you'll see on the stream. It's very compact. Actually, there's no radios even visible except for the Anon G2, which is not in operation. It's sitting here over on the side. I don't use it much. But I was looking at the pictures, and I scroll down, and there's a picture from overhead. Looks like a drone picture footage. It looks like you got a tower there. To the left, you got a house and a garage, and then the tower, and it looked like that's where your satellite antennas are, just to the left of that, down towards ground level. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, I had to scroll all the way down. I forgot that was even there. There I was flying the drone. Yeah, there's the satellite array. I didn't have the dish up, but I put the dish back on the crossboom, the fiberglass crossboom. You can see it's a distance from the house. Everything goes through the garden shed. Everything feeds into a big fiberglass panel box in the garden shed there, and that's where I break the lines and. Then I go underground into the house. We did an addition to the house back in about 10 years ago. And I had relocated the tower where we didn't have to look at it. And we put the new garden shed in and redid everything. So that, that's sort of a demarcation point for all the control cables as well as, the hard lines and such. And that location, other than putting the satellite antennas on the house, which I am, I guess if I was married, I would do, but in the interest of my marriage, it had to go in that field. But at least where it is, has some pretty clear views when the leaves are down. But it all works. And that rotor that you're looking at is a Dynetic Systems DR10 from 1972. And I put new servo motors on it. And if you kind of scroll up, you'll see there's a shack from the 90s in there, the original satellite station. And I actually liked it. It was almost like a shipboard station. I had everything crammed in there. To try to get to work on stuff was almost impossible because it was like a Rubik's Cube to pull something out to get behind it. So when we did the addition, I did the bigger area, but I'm not so sure that there's any real advantage to it. I just got more junk. But we did a contact that was most memorable with STS-56 from Studio A over there on Easter Sunday morning at 7:30 in the morning. We got scheduled. We didn't get scheduled for Easter Sunday. We got scheduled for a normal school day time slot for an orbit, and the mission got postponed 3 times. And the launch occurred on a Friday night on Good Friday, and our contact was something like 36 hours later, which put it at 7:45 on an Easter Sunday morning. And I had kids from 10 schools throughout the Lehigh Valley in New Jersey scheduled to talk. It was one of the early Cerex, school sessions. So we said, what are we going to do? And I spoke to the guys at AMSAT. They said, well, Ken Cameron's going to be there whether you're there or not, because they're on the mission timeline. So we reached out to I think we had 16 kids amongst 10 schools and their parents, and they all came here, and they all piled into the basement. We all stood around that ham shack, and we put the audio over some loudspeakers, and we even had Ken's brother, sister-in-law, and his niece and nephew come in and do a family contact at the end of the school queue. So it was really neat. We served breakfast, and everybody went home, went to church. So there's been some fun stuff over the years that we've done, but I got away from all that, for the same reasons you just quoted. So anyway, I'm rambling. I ramble. K1GMMN3CXP.
Well, at least K1GMM, at least you've got a station that doesn't burst into flames if you start rambling. I don't know about mine. Going back to the AO7, I should be keeping notes, because this is what you have to do on AM, right? So much gets covered in and over. And I always tell people, just because I don't comment on something doesn't mean I don't hear it. Oftentimes, I'm a very focused one-track person. So if I get bombarded with a bunch, and this is not a criticism, so don't get your panties in a bunch. It's just the way my mind works. And I explain to people, just because I don't comment on something doesn't mean I don't hear it. Oftentimes I'll talk to someone the next day, a couple days later, or a week later. I'll say, hey, remember you mentioned such and such. I hear it, man. I hear it. It's just I can only process one thing at a time. So just so when we finish the QSO, you don't walk away and go, I throw all this stuff at that guy and he doesn't even hear it. No, I do hear it, Tom. You mentioned the AO7. I knew that was an oldie but goodie, but I had no idea that was 40 years old. Why can't they put up... Well, you're a big AMSAT guy, and this is something I always wondered when I used to work satellites. Why the heck don't they put up another satellite like that? Is it something to do with, obviously, the technology's there, they could do it. Do they feel there's no need for it? Or have you ever heard anything about that?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, these guys are all old. They're all 70 to 80 years old at this point, and they're burned out. Some of them, like Lou McFadden, who single-handedly built the AO-40 satellite and had the thing blow up on him. I mean, I don't think his wife could take, he's involved in some stuff, heavily involved with the ARIS program, which occupies a lot of his time. Some of those same guys got involved in that. They also ran out of rides because everybody's putting up microsats these days. And, the Germans the Chinese, the Germans, and so on have taken over this stuff. When I went to the ARIS 40-year-old anniversary conference, the outpouring people from Europe and from Asia involved in this stuff was incredible, and they're all active, and they seem to have either government support for their projects because, while they're democracies, there's money available. There's a lot of reasons, but I think age is one of the reasons, and burnout from the guys that originally did so much of this stuff. Funding was a huge part of this. AMSAT has lost memberships like you wouldn't believe because with all the technology on the internet and everything else, this isn't a big deal anymore. And getting a ride is very, very hard because there's all these CubeSats that are occupying positions. So you get I guess I don't even know if AMSAT's building anything anymore, but they couldn't get anybody to run the programs. It just involved so much time and so much bureaucratic red tape. At least that's my take on it, Steve. Over.
Okay. Yeah. See, I don't know anything about that stuff. So Jeez. I, so what's the deal? I guess there's. I mean, is AMSAT just gonna fade off into the distance? Are there some? Uh, I know. So this stuff. Well, let me ask this question first because I don't know. I've never really looked into it. So all the funding to get these birds up there is that all through like AMSAT membership, or is it through private donation type thing? Collaborations between people. I mean, you got to put it on a rocket and you got to get it up there, right? That can't be a cheap thing. So I have no idea where the funding even comes from for something like that. And you mentioned the age of the guys. Boy, it doesn't sound to me like there's another generation coming up online in that arena. Or it's just the funding issue. Am I correct in thinking that, or am I way off base?
Well, I'm still a member, but not very active. I think you're not off base at all. There was fund drives for the membership has dropped substantially. They tried to use donations and kind of capital campaigns, for lack of a better word, to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, but the effort was all volunteer to put this stuff together from hams in various clubs. That some of them were. In the beginning, it was Lockheed. It was a Lockheed Amateur Radio Club that put up AO7. And then a lot of the guys worked at NASA. And so they had connections. But again, I think, it's just attrition. And they were able to get launches because of their connections. And all those connections passed. So if you just go on the AMSAT website, you kind of get a feeling that it's a bunch of really great guys, but the funding sources have sort of dried up. The membership sources are hard to get. It's hard to get people to put in the amount of enormous volunteer time that it takes to design and implement. They went to a lot of universities. But getting a ride is also very difficult. This is just my 30,000 foot view of the thing. I'm sure if you go on the AMSAT site, you'll see just the letters and different editorials that the guys that are still trying to keep it alive are writing on it. But the projects are all small microsats and those sort of things. There's no LEO or rather GEO geostationary orbit things. I guess the Germans they got a ride on one of the commercial satellites and put a transponder on it. What is it, Q0100, which you can listen to on a website, and that's kind of fun because it's geostationary. And so there's a lot of German hams that somehow made that happen. There's fastband TV on it as well as SSB transponders, and that's pretty remarkable. But if you go over to the DL AMSAT site, you'll see a completely different, younger group of folks. Steve, that's about all I can profess on the subject. Over.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I have to. That was. I'm trying to think of when this was, Tom. I like I said, I lose track of time. This must have been. Let's see. We're at 2024, coming into 25. So this is longer ago than I thought. This must have been about 2018, 2019. I mean, there was all this chatter of these new birds, and yes, that 100 satellite. That's the one I was trying to think of. That's a geostationary. Yes, because that came online shortly after I stopped. So I'm trying to think of when that was. It's been up there for a while, right? Yeah. So I'm trying to think of when I remember all these new satellites were coming online. When was that? Was that like, and I can't remember. I don't know if they're actually linear transponders. I thought they were FM transponders, but maybe I'm wrong. You could probably verify that for me, because I think you're a lot. Well, I know you're a lot more current than I am, because I haven't even looked at it. When I was making the exit, all this new stuff was being thrown up there, and they're waiting for them to be activated. My gut tells me it was like 2019 or something, or am I going back too far?
I believe that's about right. It might be a little newer than that. The only thing I've ever, the footprint is not anywhere where we can see it. You lose it, oh, I don't know, a couple hundred miles offshore. I think there's a section of Canada where you can pick up a little of it. But I went on the website for it. In fact, I have a link here, and it's pretty neat because you can listen to all these guys. And yes, it's a linear transponder, and it's pretty cool. As we're speaking here, I'm sending you the YouTube video. The link. I'm assuming your address here, your email in QRZ was good, so you'll get you'll get my email as well. So you can see the. It just said I had a delivery failure. I'm sure the email's good. I made a typo, but I'll resend it when we get done, and then you won't have to hunt and peck for the AO7 video, Steve. Over.
Oh, I mean, that's not necessary. I spend my life hunting and pecking. I'm a hunt and pecker. Yeah, but I appreciate it. Yes, the email's good on QRZ. Better be, even though I don't get much correspondence. So I'm hoping it's working. Yeah, so you must be, Tom, you must be retired. You got to be retired, right?
Yeah, although I think I'm busier than when I was working. I'm 70, so I can't believe it, but that's just the way it is. So yeah, I don't do much hamming, believe it or not. Like sort of like yourself, I really enjoy it when we do it, but we're involved with grandkids, and my son-in-law's running a business, and we're trying to help him, and we're traveling, and we got a big place, as you can see. So every day there's stuff to do. So in fact, today I got to run. We had both cars in the shop. I got to run, pick one up, and I'm going to get down and buy. I bought a new keyboard down about 30 or 40 miles from here. I'm going to get down and pick it up, and then there's always something you need. And so I don't know about yourself, Steve, if you've retired or not, but the time goes by quickly, more quickly than when I was working.
I'm starting to get that impression. You got a few years on me, but I am retired, early retirement. Well, I'm looking forward to going back to work, and this is kind of morbid, but the only reason I'm a retired wedding photographer, and really the only reason I'm retired is because I'm actually probably going down this afternoon after lunch again. So I'm down in Arlington about 4 days a week, at least, out of 7 days. My father became very ill in, 2014. And he ended up passing away, and my mother's all alone. She's 91. So I kind of take, I'm back and forth between these two homesteads. I take care of both of them, do all the work, and kind of take care of her, do all the shopping and all the maintenance on inside and outside on the property, and do some cooking for her, the routine. She's doing good. She's slowing down, as you can imagine. 91 years old. She's very frustrated because she can't do the things she used to do, but that's okay. I try to explain to her it doesn't get any easier, so enjoy every day. You know what I mean? It's not going to get any easier to move around, so do what you want to do now. And I told her that 10 years ago. Now she gets it, but it's still frustrating for her. She knew it was coming, but it's frustrating. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's the situation here. No, I understand it. 10 years, has gone by. I don't even know where it went. I remember the day my father passed away like it was yesterday, like it was moments ago. Um, just blistering, how fast it goes. And I'm only 60. I mean, good Lord, what have I got left? I know that's, like I said, it's a morbid thing to talk about, but it's true. I mean, I want to go back to work. And, if she passes away, knowing her, she's going to live to be over 100. But it's very difficult for me to go back to work. I also have a special needs daughter that I'm responsible for, and I have to get her to work, and it's a juggling act. She's 24. She'll be with us till the day we die. Or if we can't take care of her anymore. So, at this point, Tom, I try to get radio in when I can, but you'd think being retired, I have all this time to go play, and I really don't. It's kind of weird. It's surreal almost. N3CXP, K1GMM.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I can relate to all of that. Went through the parent thing. Actually, three of them at the same time. My wife's mother and my mother and father, and then my wife's mother's companion in a period of about 4 years. So, and we were running into New York City constantly. So until we finally got them here. So yeah, it's that time in life. So, but we get through it, and you spend each day with them, and it's precious. So it's all good, but it is stressful, and the time does seem to go very, very quickly. Steve, I'm going to, I'm watching the clock here. It's almost 20 after noon, and I'm going to grab some lunch because I'm expecting a call here shortly to pick up the one car, and then I got to run down to Telford, PA, which is about 40 miles, and grab this new keyboard and bring it home, and then we've got something this evening. So I'm thinking I better get off before I get the axe from above or the hook from upstairs, because I'm sure my wife's going, guys, you can eat some lunch here and move on. So it was a real pleasure. It's so nice to just be able to chat here on 40 and great booming signal down here. You will get an email on the AO7 YouTube video. It's just worth, even if you don't watch the whole thing, it's really interesting. At least I thought so. So I'm sure we'll talk again, and it was great to meet you. So Steve, back to you. Well, listen out, as they say. K1GMM N3CXP.
Okay, Tom. Pleasure was all mine. Yeah. Really fun, and it's always great to. It's great meeting other people as well. But boy, we got a lot in common. It's kind of weird, isn't it, when that happens? I'll let you go. I'm going to respond to some things in the chat here on the stream, and then I got it's good timing because we usually do lunch. My wife's going to be coming out of the office any moment now at 12:30, so I'm going to have to tie it off anyways. I'd probably stick it out longer if you were going to stay. Tom, I don't spend much time yapping. Most people who know me know I'm a blabbermouth, and they think I just run my trap nonstop, but I spend about 90% of my time listening. I listen around to bands a lot. I'm always doing something down here, and if I'm in the room, the radio's on and I'm listening, but it's about 90% of the time. It's kind of got all this transmit equipment and I don't talk, so it's nice to be able to get in here and actually use it. We'll look for you again. I hope I run into you again, man. Pick up where we left off or get on to bigger and better things. N3CXP, have a great day, Tom. And we'll catch you soon. K1GMM, Southwest Vermont.
Very good. 73, Steve. It was a pleasure. I'm sure we'll run into each other again here on 40 in the window or on 80 or somewhere along the line. 73, N3CXP.
All righty.
Good times. What's happening on here? Whiskey 2, Echo, November, Yankee.
Uh-oh. Whiskey 2, Echo, November, Yankee. I know that call, I think. Kilo 1 Golf Mike. Name is Steve up here, just north of Manchester, Vermont. What's going on? I got a few minutes here before lunch.
Yeah, no biggie. I just figured I'd jump in here. I was listening to you guys a little bit before. Just copying the mail, as they say. So you're up by Manchester. Yeah, no big deal. We're not. I don't think we're that far away. I'm located in Cornwall on the Hudson. We're adjacent to West Point Military Academy here in New York. Anyway, I just figured I'd jump in. Just running a Flex 6500, about 25 watts into 75 meter antenna, Johnson Matchbox. So, kind of good, Steve. Name is Bob. Bravo Oscar, Bravo Bob. And yeah, I'm usually up on 75 meters. I listen 40 all the time in the afternoon. Sometimes I get on, sometimes I don't. And still working for the man, but this time of year, the really quiet. So let's flip it back over to you there. And yeah, I also have a collection of stuff here that I have to walk sideways through to get some. So anyway, K1GMM, this is W2EMY.
Okay, let me make sure I got your call right there, Bob. W2 Delta Mike Yankee?
No, Echo Mike Yankee, like Eastern New York, like the ARRL that I'm not a member of anymore section.
Got it. Whiskey 2 Echo Mike Yankee. Whiskey 2 Echo Mike Yankee. And if I still screwed it up, let me know, and I'll keep this over short so you can get back in there. Yeah, you're in there. Geez, you're not too far. I don't know what, 150 air miles, something like that. Down the Hudson, I think, right? I'm not sure how far outside of New York City that is, or where that is in regards to Westchester. But I used to go to school. Of course, this was back in the early 80s, a very small private college down right there on Briarcliff Manor, right off the Sawmill Parkway. And I was on the 4th floor dorm, and I used to look at the Tappan Zee Bridge. That was my view out of the dorm. So I'm not sure where you are in relation to that. We're running, let me stop for a second here. About 100-watt carrier, and ACOM 2000, just tickling it, and the rig's a Sun SDR2DX, and there's a virtual audio chain running, if interested. If not, disregard what I just said. So I didn't even give Tom my working conditions, but he didn't ask, and you didn't either, so I probably shouldn't have said anything. Anyways, so you're still working. So what do? You just take a little break? Are you working from home, Bob, so you can take a little break and hop on the radio, or come home for lunch? You got the day off, over?
I've been working from home since let's say 2002. I did Verizon Wireless for a number of years. Sirius Radio for a couple of years, and then then took another job with Powerwave Technologies out in California. And I've been working from home or from Europe or from a hotel room ever since then. My current place is at Galtronics, which is used to be an Israeli antenna company, and now our main office is up in Ottawa. It's engineering, and then we've got another field office in Tempe, Arizona. And anyway, I'm like the tech support field guy for that company. So. This year is this part of the year is usually pretty dead. We usually get a bunch of orders that trickle in that got to be delivered by like the second week of December or something. All the designs are done. Buying will start January, February next year, and things will get busy again. But yeah, I'm usually down here in the shack most of the time. I either have the 75A4 on this time of year to keep some of the humidity down around here, or I'll have the Flex on. The 75A4 is a lot nicer to listen to because I don't get a lot of the static and junk that the Flex picks up. Even though I crank back the AGC on it, it's still kind of noisy and stuff. And anyway, the call, you still have it a little wacky, is Echo November Yankee, W2ENY, like Eastern New York. And yeah, find business on Briarcliff. Well, if you remember Briarcliff, you go, there's a Starbucks down there, if I remember right. You go Briarcliff from that traffic light, you go up around, what's that, Route 9D, Delta. You take that a little bit north there, and then you would go across the Bear Mountain Bridge off of the GO Trail. You probably remember that acronym. And then once you come across the Bear Mountain Bridge, you go up about 12 miles north of that. Air mile wise, we're probably about 70 miles north of New York City. And yeah, to get up to Manchester, I've been up there a whole bunch of times, years and years ago. When I was dating my wife, we went up there.
I'm gonna put my new glasses on.
Sugar Bush
Elmer.
To go skiing.
Just picked them up yesterday.
And stuff, and we come down past.
These are my official
J.K.
spectacles.
Adams,
one of three pair.
There, that
Picked up
woodworking
three.
place, which I think is still there. We still have our turkey carving.
I can't
board
wear
that I
'em
bought there
in the shack here because of where everything is.
40 years ago, which is still in beautiful condition.
Everything's out of
And,
whack because they're not
Yeah,
set
I
up
guess
for
to
these distances.
come down from there. I guess we used to go across State 7. But anyway, that's pretty much the rundown. Yeah, and yeah, I got all kinds of other stuff in the other room. I got Valiants, I got Rangers, I got 75A4s, R388s, the whole McGilla. And I'm not sure whether when I'm exactly getting out of working for the man. I would really love to do it, like next year or maybe the following year. Get out in like April.
Yeah, right, Elmer? Exactly. Except my other half.
Anyway, sorry for the old buzzer. Let me turn it back to you and make sure you still copy. K1GMM, this is W2ENY.
Yeah, Bob, sorry about butchering your call sign. I don't know what's wrong with me. I hear one thing and I think another. What? I don't get it. I think it's just senility setting in at a very early age. Anyways, yeah, you fell out a couple times, and band's kind of squirrely. It's weird. I mean, you really fell out. I don't think you're running. I think you said you're running 25 watts, but I don't know if we're maybe a little tight. But yeah, you're the second person I talked to in the past week that's from that area. Actually, the third person in the past few weeks that I've talked to that's from that area. The others were on sideband, and I can't remember what band. It was either 75 or this band, one or the other. Yeah, boy, I haven't heard. Keep in mind, I haven't been down there since, mid 80s, maybe 1983, 84. I haven't even been in that area. I've been through, I made trips to Columbia, South Carolina, but I left school in, let's see, 83, 80. Wait a minute. Boy, I got to think about this one. Graduated 82, that fall, 83, 84. So I was only down there for a couple years, Can't really remember much. The only thing I remember, one of the biggest things I remember, which literally scared me half to death, that parkway, right? That Sawmill Parkway, how windy it is and everything. Everybody, even back then, they went like hell, right? So I was with a friend from college. Her name's Patty, and we had 3 other people with us. So there were 5 people in a Datsun B210, and we were going somewhere. We came down, hopped on the parkway from Briarcliff. We were headed north, and we got into one of those corners, and one of the tie rod links broke right off. We were doing about 55. We had 5 people crammed into that little shoebox, that little matchbox. And I'm telling you, dude, I thought we were going to freaking die. I was driving, and, if you can picture, just disconnecting one of the steering controls off of one of the wheels on a corner with a little car loaded with 5 people. You want to talk about violent freaking, we never hit a thing. The car just swung from right to left, right to left, right to left. And it just completely out of control. I can't believe we didn't wreck, dude. I still remember that this day. And I think it was about 1983 when that happened. So I don't have very fond memories of Sawmill Parkway. I saw one of the most horrific motorcycle crashes I've ever seen, probably the most, right in front of me on the Sawmill. And I'm not even going to talk about it. It was absolute carnage. Yeah. A fun road to drive, but boy, I saw some crazy crap. Over.
Yeah, and that would have most likely been not the sawmill. The sawmill was a little. Well, sawmill goes basically. That's an extension of the Henry Hudson Parkway. Comes up and it becomes a sawmill, I think, at the Chimpanzee Bridge there, and then it goes diagonally to the northeast and meets up with 684. So you're probably going on the Taconic, which goes from down in there, well, which is an extension of the Bronx River Parkway. You basically went north of that, and the Taconic goes up, and it's curvy and swirly, and the cops sit on some of those corners buried in the trees, and along with the deer, and that ends up interconnecting with like the Mass Pike, the really western Austerlitz or something like that, before it goes into Vermont. I think that would, well, New York State east-west, but then Vermont 7, I think, goes north and south from around Bennington, just over the border. But anyway, 1984, 1985. Well, we bought our house here in '85. We got married. We're both from Jersey. I'm from Waldorf. My wife is from Paramus, and bought a house up here for 1/3 of what we could have bought it for in Jersey. Now it's worth about what the house would have been in New Jersey back in 1985. So it's kind of weird. But anyway, yeah, 210. Yeah, I can imagine losing something like that because you basically no steering. Well, the only way you have to control the car is the parking brake. And I forget if the 210 had the foot switch parking brake, or whether you had a pull-up handle. I don't remember back that far, but anyway, take it back and make sure you still copy. And yeah, I got to think about one of these minutes. But retirement is definitely been on my list. And I actually had a long call with my Fidelity advisor yesterday, which is a follow-up to a couple months ago. And yeah, he's kind of talking me into some stuff. So we'll see how. K1 GMM. This is W2.
Yeah, W2ENY, K1, got it all. K1 GMM, I got it all. Taconic, yes, Taconic. See, it's been a long time since I've even, the only place I've been is Albany, believe it or not. And a long time. I've headed over to Albany, picked up the Mass Pike to go east. I've been to Utica. That's about it. Haven't been down the Hudson at all. So, yeah, Taconic. Yeah, what a freaking mess that place is. Just, I mean, really fun if you had a sports car or something, but holy crap. Yeah, that was nuts. Anyways, good timing. I can hear my wife walking around upstairs. The kitchen's right over my head, and I have some food coming. I know I do. And it's going to be good. Nice to hear you. And nice to run into you, Rob. It looks like we haven't worked before, so maybe catch you again in here. I'm going to probably be in here off and on a little bit more. I haven't been on 40 meter AM in over a year. Usually I'm on AM in the mornings, down on 3705. And then sometimes I'll run AM on 15 meters. And as you probably heard, I was talking to Tom about 10 meter AM, so I'm probably going to check in there and knock around in there a little bit if the band cooperates. So 7-3, have a great day. Thanks for jumping in. Nice chat and great to meet you. W2ENY, K1 GMM. Let you tie it off. Over.
Yeah, fine business, Steve. Yeah, I gotta think about lunch, and then I got a couple other projects that have been on the list for the last couple of weeks. One is removing half of my two 4-foot rack relay racks, so I can do a slide-in rack, so I can get to the back of the other 4-foot rack, which is where the Ranger and stuff used to be. And yeah, that's on the list. And then I got a 2-foot by 2-foot service court I'm putting together. I got one of these one of these restaurant wire rack shelving things with wheels on the bottom. I got to take one and cut it at about just over 2 feet tall. Then I'm going to put 2 of those things on there with some plywood, and that way I can start working on the A4s and that way I can spin it around without killing my back. So anyway, 7-3 all the best. I'll get you on 40 and 75 are really the only bands I'm on. So get you later on down the line, K1 GMM, this is W2ENY.
Yeah, sounds good. Bob, good luck with that project there. Wheels are better. Any kind of wheel is better. Actually, I'm looking at my effects rack right now, which I don't use except on the G2 standalone, and it's just fugly, dude. It's black. It's all painted black. It's made out of what do they call that? 5/4, something like that. It's old, 30-something years old. From way back in the day when we used to do sound reinforcement and all that other garbage when I lived in Connecticut. And it's just ugly. I want to take it apart, paint it. But guess what? She's got wheels on it. And I'll tell you what, that is handy. I had that loaded up with, it's about 4 feet tall, and I had it loaded with all kinds of goodies for many years. And that's not something you want to pick up. We'd move it if we took it up and downstairs. We'd take it up and down with a hand truck, but yeah, having wheels on it is a must. So yeah, good luck with that. Your back will be happy. We'll see you later. K1 GMM. I'm clear.
Yeah, 7-3 all best. Catch you on the flip side, as they say. W2ENY.
Alrighty. All right, you guys, let me check into the chat quick. Boy, there were some things I wanted to check on think I'm up to date on the chat. That's weird on the G2, Rattletrap, if you're still in there. Spent 4 weeks trying to get the TX. Sounded like it was coming from a mile long hallway. It's weird. Are you sure? I know. Almost sounds like there was a loop back running somehow. But that, if you plug a mic directly into it, the only way a loopback would happen is if you had the monitor on and you had a set of headphones on that were cranked up so loud that it was actually getting back into the mic. That's weird. So try both in a report on the radio and the VST. So you're talking about the VAC? If it even happened on the VAC, that's weird. I can tell you, I'm going to just say one thing regarding the G2. If you're going to run the G2, I don't care what anybody says. I tried all the different inputs. Screw the XLR input. That's crap. The mic input does work, but the way the G2 handles the gain, I don't know. What I ended up doing is I'm using the Mackie card. Do yourself a favor if you buy a G2, whether you're going to run it standalone. No, if you're going to run it standalone and not Thetis, which is the whole purpose, in my opinion, of buying a G2, because I'm telling you, the Pi HP SDR software beats Thetis. It is awesome. It's great stuff. It's very simple. It's very user-friendly. It just freaking works. Everything works. Diversity works. Pre-distortion works. Absolutely flawless on that. I use a variable RF sampler, which I got to do a video on at some point. Works great. I just use a sound card. Plug a sound card right into the USB jack. Hey, Mohammed. Actually, hold on. I know it's probably cycling through. So let me do this. Come on. Okay. So let me just finish up, and I got to get upstairs for lunch. But yeah, just get yourself a sound card and plug it right in the G2. If you're using an effects rack, take a dump out of the rack into the sound card, which is what I do. Or if you want to run a microphone, just plug a microphone into the sound card and use the CFC and the Pi HP SDR software on the G2 to do your processing. Seriously, don't even screw with the analog inputs on that radio. They all suck. The sound card is dynamite. The way the Pi handles the sound card, you don't have to put a driver in. You just plug the sound card in. Linux, the Raspbian software sees it, loads the driver, boom, you're off and running. Absolutely bomb-proof. And I don't have any issues doing it that way. So it just goes. And it sounds awesome. I run a very modest rack, as you guys know. Actually, I use the rack on the G2 standalone. Sounds freaking great, and just works really well. But you do yourself a favor, just get a cheap sound card. I'm running the Mackie Onyx. You could run even a UM2, a Behringer UM2 on it. $35, I think, or something like that. Silly. Anyways, we'll see you guys later. Have a great day. I think I got everything. And here comes the wife down the stairs.